Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan. Today's episode is part 2 of the Love is Blind season 9 recap. As you all know, this is not just about entertainment, although there's plenty of controversy and entertaining things we can discuss. This is about education, learning, and growth. What can we learn from the cast members of Love is Blind? And how can we take their lessons that they've shown us and apply it to our own lives and improve our own relationships, right? So, yes, there's entertainment value, but there's also growth and learning that can come out of Netflix's Love is Blind. And boy, do we have a juicy episode today. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to get into Edmund and Kalybriah. We're going to get into Casey and Patrick, and then also Allie and Anton. Okay. So I want to start out with Edmund. And by the way, if you haven't listened to Monday's episode, you might want to go there. We unpacked the rest of the couples. So I don't want you to miss that. But Edmund, he has been the source of a ton of controversy. And in fact, this is so funny. I was on Instagram and, as I'm preparing for this kind of episode, I'm researching. So at least I'm telling myself I'm researching. I was scrolling to see kind of, okay, what are people's questions about these couples? What are some of the takeaways from season 9? And I saw a reel about Edmund and it had a question. It said, "Do you feel that it was irresponsible of Netflix's casting directors to cast Edmund in the show?" And this question came about because we got to see on season 9 a lot of emotional dysregulation, a lot of uncomfortable moments where Edmund's not able to express himself in a way where he can be heard. I think we saw a lot of big emotions. And at the same time, there's so many wonderful things about Edmund and his kind of like wear your heart on your sleeve, say everything that comes to mind, uncensored, totally authentic self. We got to see all these beautiful parts, but we saw somebody who honestly had a ton of relational trauma, and we got to see interactions with his biological mom. We got to hear about his past. And from what we could see, and this obviously I don't know him personally, but from what we could see, it appears as though Edmund has unresolved relational trauma, has a really difficult time regulating his emotions, and has a really hard time getting close to someone because of fears of abandonment and his insatiable need for reassurance. This is anxious attachment, right? You guys know I talk about this. It's like your reassurance bucket has holes in it. No matter how much reassurance he was given, he couldn't internalize it. So, anyways, I see this question. I comment on this post. This is the most, I think my comment on this post is the amount of people who have liked it is close to like 800, 900 people now. And here's what I commented. Yes, it was irresponsible. My personal opinion, I believe that it was irresponsible to cast Edmund. However, there are gray areas here. Don't come at me. Okay. Here's the gray areas. If he was given the opportunity to basically realize that he had this unresolved relational trauma that would make him more susceptible to crash outs, if you will, to being completely emotionally dysregulated, to quote unquote, falling apart on TV. If he had been made known, hey, I think you have potentially, I'm not diagnosing him, but if I was meeting with him, the things I would be curious about, right? would be C, PTSD, complex PTSD from past relational trauma. And I would also be curious about him being on the spectrum. There's nothing wrong with either one of those. I'm not saying that he shouldn't date. By all means, he should. However, this is the key piece, okay? He needs to know what he is experiencing. He needs to have a better understanding and better self-awareness of, oh gosh, maybe I have an anxious attachment style, complex PTSD, relational trauma. Maybe I am on the spectrum. You know, he needs to understand those things so that he could better cope with them. I feel like, me personally, I feel like the producers obviously fell in love with him. He's lovable. And at best case scenario, they didn't realize how damaging this could be, how emotionally dysregulated he would get. They didn't realize it. Worst case scenario, the casting people did realize it and they decided to cast him because they knew it would be entertaining. And that really bothers me. So there's a lot of gray areas here. Now, Edmund himself, to his credit, he has come out and said that he is so happy he went on the show and that he is very frustrated about people talking about, what maybe his own mental state is or whether or not he should have been on the show. So, my apologies to Edmund. I think I get it. I get where he's coming from, but it also to me that sounds like somebody who's not aware of what they're dealing with. I think wanting to just go on and have the experience no matter what without pausing and asking yourself, "Whoa, I really struggle in relationships. I have major, major relational trauma where fears of abandonment feel overwhelming to me and I can't control my emotions." I would have liked for him to at least know those things going into it so that he could have more self-awareness and more control over how he handled things, okay? So, I wanna make it super clear. I am not saying that Edmund shouldn't date. He absolutely is worthy of love. He has a beautiful heart. I have no doubt in my mind he will end up with an incredible loving person who wants to help him create secure attachment, okay? I am not saying that he shouldn't date. I am saying he needed more support. He needed more awareness. He needed to be equipped with the tools so that he could date and not have a damaging experience. Because what are we seeing? We're seeing him bang his head up against the wall, breaking my heart at the end of the weddings episode where, we see him and he's with his teacher and he's talking about how this always happens. This happens every time. Yes, it happens every time because you're repeating relational trauma. You are repeating patterns that are damaging to you. And without support, without awareness, those patterns keep repeating. Okay. So that's my takeaway on Edmund. I know some of you may disagree with me. That's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions, right? Um, Kalybriah, she was showing up very securely attached, very securely attached. This woman navigated a lot, including when Edmund's mother, his biological mother, who really wasn't in his life all that much, when she shows up and then she's interacting, I really could sense there's like this, she's navigating a lot internally and probably trying to be there for Edmund while simultaneously having a ton of questions, having concerns, right? I think that she really navigated a lot the best that she could. And then she realized where her capacity was at. She did not have capacity to regulate Edmund's emotions. She was not going to regulate his emotions for him. And we saw her avoidant attachment get triggered. And understandably. And I think she's somebody who has experienced avoidant attachment and who is really good. Hello, social work, right? She's really, really good at taking care of other people while avoiding her own inner experience, avoiding her own emotions. She can distract herself by just being the caretaker, being the strong one. And I think through this process, what did she realize? She gets up to the altar. She's, telling Edmund that she loves him, but that she can't be his person. Okay. And I think she realized, look, I can love someone, but I cannot be with somebody that I feel like I have to take care of. A lot of y'all listening, you know what this is. You fall in love with that person that you can be there for them. You can be their therapist, their life coach, their career coach, their nutritionist, their chef, their emotional support person. You can be all these things for this person, but then you realize, oh, shoot, I'm abandoning myself. This kind of relationship is not sustainable. I adore this person. I love this person. And I am self-abandoning. I'm losing myself in this, right? So I think she was very secure, very value-driven. She also was great with boundaries. I loved that she drew a clear line around intimacy. She was really honest about, hey, I've had scenarios where I've hooked up with people right away, and that hasn't worked. And she was intentionally taking a different approach. And then she got to set the boundary. And here's what I want you all to realize. This is classic, okay? Classic secure attachment in action and why you need to set boundaries. She set the boundary with Edmund, and then he had a total emotional breakdown. You guys know the scene. He has a breakdown about it. He's making it mean all kinds of things in his head that, she'll hook up with people, but then she won't hook up with somebody that she's supposed to marry, and makes him feel like he's not good enough and he's breaking down. She is gathering the data on this man, on how he responds to her boundaries. Had she not set the boundary and just hooked up with him, she would have been more emotionally invested and she wouldn't have gotten the data on, ooh, this is how he responds to boundaries. So she did the securely attached thing. She stood in her truth. She stood in her power. She set her boundaries, and she gathered very valuable data on how he responded to boundaries. And he eventually got it. He apologized. He came around, but not without the major emotional breakdown. So all in all, I think she's going to be just fine. This is going to be another one of those people that we see, a year from now, 2 years from now, happy, healthy relationship. She's going to be just fine. She's going to grow from this experience. And I do know this. Hopefully she saw it crystal clear, as I can only imagine how clear it becomes watching yourself back on reality TV. She saw it crystal clear that she cannot keep picking people that she has to take care of. Okay. And she's going to now, with a securely attached baseline, she's going to approach dating with compatibility, and she's going to look for interdependence, not codependence. She's going to look for, hey, my partner can take care of themselves and they can also show up for me. She's going to look for interdependence instead of codependence. That is my prediction. She is going to be just fine. Okay, moving on, we got to talk about Casey and Patrick. Oh boy. Oh boy. This was a doozy, wasn't it? What is it about Casey, you guys? I think, okay, hear me out. I think that Casey has a lot of unresolved trauma, potentially, right? Once again, disclaimer, I do not know these people. I am hypothesizing off of what I have seen on reality TV. I think potentially she has relational trauma that has not been resolved. How do I know this? Well, she's talking about her past relationships. She talked about being in a relationship with someone who, when she got the invite to go on Love is Blind, they encouraged her to go on the show. She just has this presentation of, it's the dance of getting close, pulling away, getting close, pulling away. Hypothetically, I think she would have a disorganized attachment style. This is somebody who claims they want intimacy, but then when they get it, they sabotage it. They can't handle it, right? We also saw a lot of humor from her. I think we saw a lot of the, like, the sarcastic, playful, devaluing. Like, we saw this. I know this sounds silly, but hear me out. It's distancing, right? Like, she's playing, the hoop basketball with Patrick and trash talking him. Like, this is somebody who is not lovey-dovey, open heart, telling you all the things that they love about you and appreciate about you. She has a hard exterior, and then if she's letting you in, I think she's gonna also then find ways to push you away. Okay. Also, I have to mention this. I think that she is incredibly hard on herself. Anytime someone is so wrapped up in looks, and we saw this, when she saw Patrick, she said to the producers that she wasn't attracted to him. So, yes, she is using looks as a way to determine who she should be with. And please, I understand compatibility, looks do matter by all means. Okay. However, to just use it in such a rigid way and then not be able to own it, lie about it, right? She's like lying about it to Patrick's face, not acknowledging it, that she didn't feel that there was a physical connection. What does this tell me? I personally think she has a lot of insecurity in herself. If I am acting this way towards other people, it means that I am incredibly self-conscious about how I look, okay? So I think that's what we saw from Casey. Her own projection of how she treats herself is then projected onto Patrick, probably standards of perfectionism, fears about what other people think, fears about how are they going to look as a couple. She's imagining, oh my gosh, are we going to be rejected? Um, this is kind of the sad reality of something that has increased substantially in our society, worrying about what other people think. When we post our couple photos together on social media, what are people going to think, right? And it comes from lack of high self-worth, craving that external validation. These other people are going to tell me I'm good enough. These other people are going to like my photos, right? And that, in combination with a disorganized attachment style, led to the confusing AF behavior that we saw from Casey. Telling Patrick one thing, leading him on, and then going off and telling the producers another. I gotta side with Patrick on this one. And also Casey for the whole fact of, hooking up with Joe post filming, whatever. I think it just really speaks to, once again, disorganized attachment and needing to really do that inner work and work on the self-worth piece. Work on the self-worth piece, okay? I think that she's obviously so worthy of love. I think she is such a wonderful person who has unfortunately gone through a lot of relational trauma. And it is just really sabotaging how she's showing up in relationships. I don't think that she's going to be feeling emotionally safe enough to let anyone in who's fully choosing her. Patrick was all in. You guys, Patrick is like, securely attached, although we saw the anxious side of him come out a few times, I think because of Dane and Casey, right? But he's like emotionally available, really curious about her, getting to know her. They have this good connection. And then it just all gets thrown away, you know? Um, Another theory, if you really just want to go there, here's the other theory. Casey just really, really, really was not physically attracted to Patrick. Like, just for whatever reason, could be the pheromones, could be body language. There's so many things that come to light. Absolute worst case scenario, it's like racism, which I don't even want to talk about, but obviously racism is alive and well, right? Like, I think people have biases. Um, but she kind of knew his ethnicity. They had sort of hinted about it, talked about it. Like she knew. So, and she even had like this connection to Asian culture from her family. I don't know. But, what I'm trying to say is like if we just go down this whole other path and we say, "You know what? It was all about looks. She didn't like how he looked. She didn't want to be with him." I will say this, she could not communicate that clearly, and just by that fact, she caused so much more pain than she needed to. And Patrick is the kind of guy, he's gonna be a bro. He's the broiest bro, okay? He's gonna be a bro. He's gonna downplay his emotions. I think he was really hurt. I think we saw the tip of the iceberg in terms of what Patrick went through because of this experiment. Not to mention the failed connection that he had, I believe, with Amy, someone who he really connected with, and on like a deeper emotional level, that's the person he should have connected with. That's the person he should have matched with, right? But then she left because of her own stuff. I know there was that other dude who I can't remember his name right now. It's not coming to me. Um, I think ultimately that would have been the better connection for him. There was emotional safety there. There was real, true connection. There was vulnerability. There was curiosity, right? But clearly that one wasn't meant to be either. So, my hot take on Casey and Patrick, we had disorganized attachment meets mostly secure with a little bit of anxious. And then we got to see the disaster that unfolded. And if I'm Casey, I need to work on my self worth, my securely attached communication, and simply learning how to embody a calm, regulated nervous system and showing up securely attached. And also learning how to accept love from someone who's emotionally available, because I believe her model for love is very chaotic with intermittent reinforcement. Someone who's, giving her attention, but in an unpredictable, chaotic way. She was not able to accept steady, fully emotionally available, all in. That doesn't fit her model, right? So Casey has a lot of healing ahead of her. And I hope that she does take ownership of it and work on herself. Okay, moving on. Also, hot take, I might get canceled for this. I don't think Patrick should have given her the ring. I know she won in the basketball tournament, but dude, Patrick, such a good heart. Like, I feel like he could have kept the ring and done something with it, like taken the diamond and, made a necklace and given it to his future fiance on their 1 year anniversary as like a necklace or something. I don't know. I'm just coming up with an alternate reality. But I think even like Casey's, I don't want to say manipulation, but like the way that she kind of deflected and thought that, she should get to keep the ring. And I don't know. I think the right thing would have been for Patrick to keep it, but that's just me. Although she won it fair and square. She won it fair and square. They did play with what the heck was Chris Paul? Or like, whoa, Chris Paul's here. They played with Chris Paul. She won it fair and square. So I don't know. More controversy there. Okay, guys, we got to move on. This is our final couple, and I am happy to talk about this couple. Super, super happy because there's so much real world stuff here. Okay, Allie and Anton. Where do we begin? Allie shows up very secure, very confident. She knows what she wants. She seems to have high self-worth. And I will say this about Allie. I think that she might have a tiny bit of anxious attachment, needing reassurance, needing proof. However, given the experiment, given what they were going through, I think it was totally normal for there to be anxious attachment. Even the most secure person might show up with some anxious attachment. So, unfortunately, there's a few things here. Number one, the drinking. Okay. Anton likes to drink. He has it as part of his lifestyle. It's something that he does frequently. Is he an alcoholic? Not enough data to tell. Not enough data to tell. I think that question was haunting Allie. And here's what went wrong here. And I think this is something to take into real world situations is that if you're dating someone and you're curious about their drinking and you think it may be an issue, when you talk with them, it is a yellow/red flag if they are not taking accountability, if they are denying it, if they are saying you're totally wrong, if they're pretending that they don't remember something or that they don't know, like when Anton basically knew that all the tequila was gone and he pretended that he didn't know where it was, and we saw him make that slow walk to the refrigerator and then be like, "Oh yeah, we did drink it all. It is all gone, right?" Like that's an example of a yellow/red flag. So, when you're dating somebody, if they are drinking and it's concerning you and you tell them the best thing, they take ownership. They say, "You know what? I have been drinking a lot. You know what? I did have 6 beers last night. You're absolutely right. What can I do to reassure you about this? What do you need from me? Are you concerned about this? Is this something we need to talk about?" And then even more, like I would give this 10 stars. The best thing you can say is, "You know what? You're right. I drank XYZ amount. It's something that I'm aware of. You bringing this up also makes me more aware. And I want to tell you it's something I want to work on. I am a grown man. I don't want you to feel like you have to fix this for me. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to get some support to work on this. I will keep you updated. And please know that you can ask me any questions that you have as I'm going through this. If there's anything you want to know, you can ask me." End of response. Okay. Like something like that, that's total transparency, total ownership. And notice how, in that scenario, if Anton had been able to respond that way, he's already acknowledging that there's an issue. He's saying, "I want to work on this. You don't have to." And now, to be fair, I'll be totally transparent with you guys. We don't know how much of an issue. We don't see the stuff that wasn't shown, right? Maybe Allie had plenty of evidence that his behavior and his lifestyle was much more like an alcoholic instead of a lifestyle drinker. And honestly, it's totally valid that just that reason alone, even if he wasn't an alcoholic and he was simply coming home and drinking every night, and that's just not something that she wanted to be around, she is valid for ending the relationship. You don't have to be with someone if you're going, "You know what? This just isn't the lifestyle." And let me say this is the truth. If you are dating someone and you're going, "Oh, but it can change. Oh, it can get better," you are setting yourself up for a lot of pain and heartbreak. We need to accept the person as they are and ask ourselves, if nothing changed about this person, would I still be with them? And I think ultimately that's the path Allie went down. And I don't know if this was just for the drama of it all, but it seemed like wedding day she was torn. It seemed like she was still torn. I don't know if she knew her decision. I don't know if she did. And then I think this is some of the anxious side of her, but she was hoping that, oh, she'd be standing up there and she would get this like feeling and that she would know that it was right. And that just never came, right? I don't know if that was the best way to go about that decision. I don't think you can just go off a feeling in the moment when you're standing at the altar. I mean, I get it, but I think ultimately, I don't know how she could have moved forward. Maybe if there had been more time, they would have benefited from couples therapy. They would have benefited from evidence where Anton could show up and do lifestyle things that were important to Allie. It sounds like she knows she likes health and fitness and being active. Maybe she likes being in nature. I don't know. She seems like a health and wellness girly. Like, take Anton to a yoga class. Like, we needed more time to see, could Anton meet her in her lifestyle? And they just didn't have that time. But I will say, I think there was genuine love between them. They were one of the couples where you see their connection and you go, yeah, very genuine. I mean, they were the first people to get engaged. I think there was a genuine love. There was a lot of values alignment. Even though we're focused on this episode on the ways they weren't compatible, family values. They were both, immigrant families that made it, lots of love for parents, respect for parents, desire for family. You could just tell there's a lot of alignment. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get over the drinking. So, looking back on this, so much to learn. One of the little controversies I didn't mention is Anton dating Madison. I don't know. Does anybody have I didn't do the Reddit deep dive on that. Shoot me a DM, Dr. Morgan coaching, if you've got the tea. Are Anton and Madison together? Not sure. Um, I think that both of them are going to move on and be okay. And if anything, I hope Anton could take from this, oh, maybe I need to look at my drinking. Maybe I need to look at my lifestyle. Or if it's not an issue and it's not impacting his functioning and it's just a lifestyle preference that he does not want to change, now he has the clarity. You know what? When I'm dating someone, I want to be with someone that wants to have a couple drinks frequently. I want to be with somebody that enjoys alcohol, right? That's a preference. And guess what? In today's age, it's becoming more rare. I mean, I won't say it's rare yet. It's not rare yet. It's headed in the direction of being rare. There are a lot of people that are saying no to alcohol. I will be 3 years completely alcohol free this January. No regrets. No regrets for me. However, I totally respect people that like to drink. I have friends that love wine, that love espresso martinis. I get to go with them and be the DD and sip my Diet Coke. I have family members that it's like they are wine connoisseurs and they enjoy the taste of it and they enjoy finding the perfect bottle. Like, by all means, if that's your lifestyle, that's your lifestyle. Would I marry someone that drank? No, I wouldn't. And that actually shocks me, but I just wouldn't. And my husband's also sober. We're both sober and it works. I do think, depending on how big it is in your lifestyle, you will run into issues, right? Like, if you're someone that loves to drink and loves to go out, and then you date the wellness girly that doesn't want to drink at all, there's going to be some conflict. But how important is it that you align with your partner? Esther Perel talks about this all the time, okay? That we obviously need to get our needs met, but it is unfair to think that our partner is going to meet all of our needs. Your partner is going to meet some of your needs. So ask yourself, what are the things that are important to you in partnership? Maybe it's very important to you that your lifestyle aligns. Maybe you're okay with, you know what? I have other people that I can go have a cocktail with, and I don't need that from a partner. Everybody's different in terms of what are the things that you need from a partner, and then what are the things that you can get met in other relationships. For example, I love to work out. My partner, not so much. He's not a gym guy. He likes to go fishing and he'll walk 9 miles in a day just trying to catch some fish. Okay. So this man works out through outdoor activities, which is also not my thing. Now, what if I had said, hey, it is a major priority for me that my partner goes to the gym with me? Then him and I wouldn't have been compatible. However, when I was honest with myself, that's not a core thing. That's not a non-negotiable for me. I love my solo gym time. Please do not talk to me. I have my headphones on, okay? Someone tried to sell me training sessions the other day and I was like, "Are you kidding me? You want me to be with another person while I work out?" That is my like in the zone, my time to myself, okay? So no, I don't need somebody to go to the gym with me. But for somebody else, that might be a non-negotiable. So this is where compatibility comes in, okay? Chemistry is one thing. We saw this with Allie and Anton, so much chemistry, compatibility, ultimately not there, right? The other lessons I want you to take from this episode, boundaries. You know, Kalybriah and Edmund, she set the boundary. She learned how did he respond to boundaries. By setting boundaries in early stages of dating, we gather important information that we need about the other person. So set boundaries because it will show you who that person is, and you really need that data. Another core takeaway that I want you to have from this episode, healing your attachment style, showing up securely attached. When you show up secure, everything changes. You avoid relationship decisions. You know, KB could have said yes at the altar, and ultimately that would have been self abandonment. That was not right for her. That's not the relationship she wants. She showed up secure. She chose herself. Part of becoming securely attached is learning to say no to the wrong people much more quickly. You are not wasting your relationship energy anymore. So becoming securely attached is so, so important. And then with Casey and Patrick, one of the takeaways I would say, love yourself. Love yourself. And remember that communicating openly, honestly, and directly is the kindest thing that you can do. Even if it's painful, even if it's hard, leading somebody on, not quite breaking up with them and just like leaving the door open a little bit, that is so much more painful than just being honest. You deserve to set that person free for your own well-being if you're not compatible, but they also deserve to know. They deserve to know that it's not going to work out. Do not avoid the "we are not compatible" conversation just because it makes you uncomfortable. That is really unfair to you and it's unfair to the other person. And of course, if you're not sure, if you're figuring it out, then you have to be honest about that. You know, open, honest, direct communication, secure communication. It is the healthy way to show up. And ultimately, it's going to get you the best results in relationships and it's going to give you that good relationship karma. Okay. Even if we're ending it with someone, if we're being open and honest and direct, we are being kind. And kindness is so important. Okay. All right. I hope you liked this episode. I feel like there was a lot to process. Obviously, if you need help in your dating life and you're going, Dr. Morgan, how do I become securely attached? How do I attract the love of my life and build the relationship that I've always wanted? I want you to know I've got you covered. Go apply to the Empowered, Secure, Loved Relationship Program. We have super limited spots left. This November, I have an incredible offer for you. It is our Black Friday offer. I'm doing it for the month of November because I am feeling very generous. I want all of you to have the kind of healthy, loving, secure relationship that I now have in my life. So this offer is so good. It is 70% off of everything. Okay. I'm giving you a bundle. Not only are you getting the Empowered Secure Love program, you're also getting my other signature programs. Okay, you're getting the Breakup Academy, you're getting the Boundaries audio course, how to set boundaries. You're getting everything, including the Stop the Spiral meditations. You're getting it all at a highly, highly discounted price. And this is our Black Friday, November only offer. Do not miss it. Go apply to the program using the link in the show notes. And once again, just know that this is your time. You get to heal. You get to do the inner work. November is that magical time of, hey, let's claim what are we going to do in 2026? Who are we becoming in 2026? You can breathe. You can set yourself up for success. The way that I look at this month is the same way that I look at my Sundays. Every week, I take my Sundays and I have at least an hour where I'm planning out the week ahead. And it creates so much peace, so much routine for me that it sets an amazing foundation for the week ahead because I know what's coming. I know what's important. I know who I am. I know everything on my calendar, right? November to me is that month for the following year. This is that opportunity to reset your identity, to totally even go into the cocoon mode, to disappear for a month or two, rebuild yourself intentionally so that in 2026, you are not repeating the same patterns that you have. You are becoming that securely attached, high self worth, confident, emotionally available version of you who easily attracts the relationship that she wants and builds a life that she loves. Okay. So, November is that time. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. This is the best offer of the year. Go apply. The link is in the show notes. Takes 2 seconds. All right, y'all. I hope you love this episode. If you know someone that you binged Love is Blind with and you were chatting about it, send them this episode. They need the attachment style breakdown. They need to hear the takeaways so that you guys can chat about it. But most importantly, take what we talked about, apply this to your life, think about how it impacts you. And of course, you guys know, as always, I am wishing you high self worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.